Before we begin, I'd love to ask you something. If you enjoy stories like this, stories about life, reflection, and finding your way again, take a moment to say, "I'm here" in the comments. It's a small way this community lets each other know we're not walking this road alone. And if this story speaks to you, consider subscribing so you can join us for more quiet moments of reflection and encouragement. Now, let's begin. For most of her life, Elaine had been needed. She had been a mother, a partner, a problem solver, the one who remembered birthdays and doctor's appointments, the one who stayed strong when others needed strength. For decades, her days were full of voices, full of responsibilities, full of people depending on her. And then one day, almost without warning, life grew quiet. The children had grown and moved into lives of their own. The busy routines that once filled every hour had faded. The house that once felt too small suddenly felt too large. At first, Elaine thought she would enjoy the peace, but quiet has a strange way of revealing things we've been too busy to notice. Questions began to surface. Who am I when no one needs me today? What do I do with this time? What comes next? People often talk about retirement as if it's a reward, but for many people it's also a transition that can feel deeply unsettling. After years of purpose and responsibility, the rhythm of life changes overnight. The world slows down, and sometimes the silence can feel heavy. Elaine didn't tell anyone about the strange loneliness she felt. After all, nothing was technically wrong. Her family loved her, her health was good, she had a comfortable home, yet something inside her felt unfinished. Not broken, just uncertain. One quiet morning, Elaine found herself sitting at the kitchen table with a cup of tea. Sunlight poured gently through the window. Dust floated lazily in the warm air. For the first time in a long while, she allowed herself to sit without rushing somewhere else. And in that quiet moment, a small thought appeared. For years, I've taken care of everyone else, but maybe it's finally time to take care of me. It wasn't a dramatic thought. It didn't arrive with fireworks or sudden transformation, just a quiet realization. Perhaps this next chapter of life wasn't about endings. Perhaps it was about rediscovery. That afternoon, Elaine opened a drawer she hadn't touched in years. Inside were old notebooks, recipes she had written down, lists, scraps of thoughts she had once meant to return to. She picked up a pen and began to write. Not anything important, just reflections, memories, things she had learned over the years. And something unexpected happened. Writing helped her slow down. It helped her notice things again. The way the morning light changed through the seasons, the way a walk around the neighborhood could lift her mood, the way small moments of gratitude could soften a difficult day. Over the following weeks, Elaine began creating small rituals, nothing complicated, just small moments that belonged only to her. Morning tea by the window, short walks when the weather allowed, and quiet reflection in her journal. She began asking herself simple questions. What still brings me joy? What have I always been curious about? What parts of myself did I set aside while caring for others? Slowly, answers began to emerge. Not at once, but piece by piece. If you're listening to this story and something about it feels familiar, I want you to know something important. Feeling uncertain in a new season of life is not failure. It's not weakness. It's simply part of being human. Life changes, roles change, but the opportunity to grow, to rediscover yourself, never disappears. Sometimes the quiet seasons are not empty. Sometimes they are invitations. One thing that helped Elaine the most was writing. Putting thoughts onto paper helped her understand herself in ways she hadn't before. That's actually one of the reasons I created a 7-day reflection guide over on my website, The Webbed Quill. It's a simple digital journal designed to help people slow down, reflect, and reconnect with themselves. If you feel like you might benefit from a little guided reflection, you'll find the link in the description. But whether you use a journal or simply take quiet moments to think, what matters most is giving yourself permission to begin again. Months later, Elaine noticed something had changed. Her life hadn't suddenly become perfect, but it had become meaningful again. She wasn't simply filling time anymore. She was living with intention, learning, reflecting, growing. And perhaps the most surprising realization of all was this: the later chapters of life can sometimes be the most meaningful ones, because by then, we finally understand what matters. Before we finish, I'd love to ask you one more question. If this story resonated with you, leave a comment saying, "I'm here." It's a small way this community reminds each other that none of us are walking through these seasons alone. And if you'd like more stories about reflection, renewal, and finding your way in life, consider subscribing to the channel. There are many more conversations waiting for us. Until next time, take care of yourself. And remember, it's never too late to begin again.